Lisa Michaels here. It's all in your head. And tonight I'm going to talk about addiction. Now, if you've been following me, you know that this is my third attempt at this particular topic. And each time before I had problems with the microphone. I'm truly hoping that that does not happen today. I think it's all good. I think I have all the kinks worked out. We've had multiple weeks successful since then, so I think we're all good. So welcome everybody. I want to start off with the important part. I am not a doctor of any kind. I'm a registered nurse and a certified rapid transformational hypnotherapist. And I am training to become a certified neuroscience coach. So I'm starting to combine neuroscience practices with hypnosis, and it's so powerful. I'm really excited about it because I love helping people with real change when they're ready for it. So what I share here, because I'm not a doctor, right? What I share here is a combination of my education, research, work with my clients, my own personal experience, and then of course, last but not least, my opinion and my perspective, right? We all have one. One of the things I don't do in this show is I don't use scripts. I use little 4x6 index cards for prompts about what I want to talk about, to help me make sure I don't miss anything. But even when I give speeches, I never could memorize stuff, so this really is a live show with me engaging live. So forgive me for all of the ums and the pauses, because those are the times that in live conversation here, I'm reflecting and thinking about whatever it is that I'm talking about. I'm thinking about what's going on in his head. So, my Toastmaster friends are just pulling their hair out right now. The other thing I want to say to you before we get started is I'm super excited that I have an event coming up at the Botanical Gardens on Westmoreland Boulevard in Port St. Lucie. I feel so blessed to be doing this. March 21st, Saturday from 10 to 11 o'clock. I am doing the inner sanctuary of letting go. Whatever it is you want to let go, could be something big, something little. I'm gonna try to help you facilitate that on that day. So it's $20 for non-members of the Botanical Gardens and $15 for members. I would love to see you there. It's outdoors, so you got to bring a yoga mat or a chair. But I would love to see you there. And it's going to be an incredible experience, combination of neuroscience and hypnosis, which hypnosis is a little bit of neuroscience, but we're going deeper than that. So we're going to have some fun with it and hopefully make some real change there. So here we go. Addiction. What is addiction? To me, in its simplest terms, it's a behavior that you take on as an identity. Alcoholic, drug addict, whatever your addiction is, sex addict, right? There's a lot of different addictions. That's why, to me, it's anything that you take on as an identity. I'm a smoker. You see where I'm going with that? And to me, it's that simple. That's when it becomes an addiction, when the desire to do something manipulates the rest of your life, right? Like when you get up in the morning and all you can think about is having a drink. Been there, done that. So I used to be addicted to alcohol. And I used to smoke cigarettes. And so you're speaking to or listening to somebody that has actually lived the alcohol and the cigarettes. Thank goodness I did not ever get involved with anything more serious than that. So I'm very thankful for that. How does addiction begin? Everybody thinks that, first of all, they all go to the substance. Everybody goes to the substance, whether it's fentanyl or alcohol, cigarettes. Everybody will say, oh, the cigarettes are killing them, or the alcohol's killing them. It's always the substance that people talk about, when in reality, the substance or the addiction is to manage unresolved pain. And I know there's people out there saying right now, no, alcoholism is genetics. And I'm going to tell you, no, it's not. Alcoholism comes from environment. Okay. There's plenty of people. Well, for instance, my ex-husband grew up in a household where his mother and father smoked cigarettes. Now, if you want to go by that kind of methodology, you're going to say he should be a smoker. But he actually despised smoking. He despised it. And a lot of times when somebody grows up in a household with an alcoholic, they despise the alcohol because it wreaked havoc in their home, whether the person became violent and aggressive or whether they drank all of the money, whatever it is, because it affects all addictions affect not just the person that's addicted, but of course everybody around them in some way or another, right? And so what I'm trying to say, like for instance, my alcoholism. Now my cigarette smoking, that was environment. First of all, I grew up in the era when cigarette smoking was cool. So, I mean, we could smoke anywhere. When I was in ninth grade in high school, I could take my cigarettes to school and go out on the smoking grounds and smoke, and nobody gave a hoot. Like nobody talked to my parents. It was freaking awesome, man. So when I smoked, it was all about social, just being cool, right? And that's, I think, one of the stepping stones to smoking. Although my mother smoked too. Right. So that gave me access to cigarettes. I would steal them and go smoke them. And again, environment, right? How did that affect me? Because I saw someone in my family doing it, my mother, no less, smoking. So, geez, there can't be anything wrong with it, right? It can't hurt me in any way. I mean, if it did, why would my mother do it? Right. This is how a kid thinks, because a kid, we're just trying to fit in and be cool. Now, my alcohol, though, I really didn't drink. When I was, when I first hit the drinking age, I could care less about the drinking. I wanted to be able to go into the bar to shoot pool or dance, things like that. I've never been the person to just sit around and drink. So even though I drank in my earlier years, it never turned into anything until years went by. I became a performer, a professional singer in a band, and they all drank, and they would get shots, and they'd go, "Here, Lisa, take a shot." So, but even then, it wasn't a big deal, but it kept piling up. So then I lost a child. So when I lost my child, my subconscious mind had already learned that alcohol was a nice relaxant and an escape, because I wasn't abusing it. At the time, it was, I was doing it socially, and it would be great. It would kind of help relax me a little bit, just a shot here and there to relax me a little bit on stage. It was perfect. Why? Because I wasn't abusing it. But as soon as my son died, then I started abusing it. Why? Because my subconscious mind had already created the process that it was a good thing. It was okay. I was doing it, and I would feel good when I did it, and it was okay. So then the more that I allowed that to be my go-to instead of maybe anything else, any other thing, get addicted to working out or something, right? But I turned into a full-blown alcoholic at that time. And then it only got worse, because what people don't understand, one of the things that the people don't understand that are dealing with an alcoholic or a drug addict, first of all, nobody wants to become an alcoholic or a drug addict or any kind of addiction. Nobody wants that. We don't wake up one morning and say, "Hey, let's go get addicted to something." No. Things happen, and that ends up being the go-to that somewhere along the line was created as being a go-to, because that's how the subconscious mind, that's how our brain works, right? At some point, you had a good experience with alcohol or drugs, heroin, cocaine, pot, whatever. You had a good experience, and so then you did it again, and now this is the second time that your brain, has that you've done this act, okay? So now you kind of have a pattern forming. And then the next time you do it again, and you have a good time. So now that's it. Now you've done it enough that you've repeated an action that your brain accepts as a good thing. And it's all good until life happens. Okay? It's all good unless you live in an abusive home or a toxic environment at home or at work, and you're being forced to deal with something toxic. Your brain is gonna want to take you to whatever soothes you. Okay? But the problem is it only works for a while. Then now, do you not only still have the same problem that you had that you were trying to run from and bury before, but now you have a new problem. And it's not good. Addiction is never a good thing because it takes over your life. So while everybody around you is being negatively affected and they're hooting and hollering and screaming and hating life, because of where you are, you can take that and multiply that by 10 to 100, whatever, depending on the person, because they now realize, like I did, and every morning that I woke up, that now I have a problem that's affecting me in many more ways than the original issues that I had. But the real problem was I didn't even know what my core issues were. And I keep telling people, I first learned this from Marissa Peer, who is the creator and teacher of rapid transformational hypnotherapy. She says everything comes from your childhood, something from your childhood. And every client that I've worked with and everything that I've worked through has stemmed from the childhood. It may not show up until later, but it does. It shows up, and oftentimes it shows up in some type of addiction, eating addiction, bulimia, overeating, smoking, drinking, all of the different things that we do, right? It's usually running from some kind of pain. For me, I was really unhappy, but I had deep-rooted stuff that without me fixing that deep-rooted stuff, I was never going to be happy. Didn't matter where I was or who I was with, until I fixed the deeply rooted pain that I was suffering from, that I didn't even know where it came from until I had an RTT session. Until I could see that, relive that, and understand how I felt. You actually get to feel how you felt in that moment, then everything sort of opened up for me as to why I tolerated the things I did and why I became an alcoholic and so on and so forth, and why I stayed in an environment that I was trying to escape. Excuse me. So the other issue, just like I said, it's not just about how it feels in the beginning that you feel relaxed from a drink, because we all know that alcohol is a depressant, right? For just speaking about alcohol. And in the beginning, that's good. But what ends up happening over the long haul is that you don't get the same effect from it anymore, because your body becomes tolerant of it. And so you have to have more of it. And you still never get the full effect that you did in the beginning, because it changes your body, it changes your mind, your brain, about how your brain functions around it. But it has a lot of triggers that come with it, because when you're building that relationship with whatever it is that you're addicted to, it's arriving with triggers. Like, for instance, when I used to smoke cigarettes, I had triggers all over the place. Right after I ate, I wanted to smoke. When I was on the phone, I wanted to smoke. When I was in my car, I wanted a cigarette. So those are all triggers, meaning that when I was trying to quit smoking, I have to deal with all of the triggers. And the key to that is understanding that those are triggers from your past, and that you have to get to the point where you want that change more than the triggers. And so you dig into whatever processes you can use, whether it's hypnosis or tapping, whatever different processes that you can use to try to quit smoking or try to quit drinking, so on and so forth. But if you have something deep buried in you that is wanting to hold on to that substance, something unresolved, a void, whatever that is, you have to fix that first. It's like trying to fix the engine of a car without knowing what part is broken. It's the same thing with the mind. If you don't know what you're trying to change, how are you going to change it? For instance, oftentimes you can find yourself in a mood that just comes out of nowhere. You don't even know where it's coming from. You're just sitting there and all of a sudden you have a change in your mood. A lot of people will just accept that mood. So if they feel depression, they'll just accept oh, I'm depressed today. No, you don't just accept that. You have to say to yourself, and this is how you can start breaking away from your need for your addiction, is listening to what is going on in the background when you feel a certain way. If you find yourself feeling depressed and nothing recent has happened to make you feel depressed, you are operating on an old trigger, an old system, and you need to become aware of those old systems or you'll find yourself in chronic depression. So you ask yourself, why do I feel this way right now? Is there something that just happened or just happened yesterday maybe that I'm feeling this way? Because otherwise, if there isn't, you really want to stop right there and shift your emotions with intention. Close your eyes and come to center, come to the current moment where you are. Look for things that you can connect with in the room and listen to sounds and go turn on your favorite record, upbeat record, or watch something funny on TV, but take control of your mood. Okay, don't just let your moods come and go with old processes, because it literally will do that. I promise you it will do that. Old processes, from shame to guilt to you name it. It will drive you into the to the gutter if you let it, man. You have to be aware of your thoughts, and you have to be aware of what's causing your thoughts and if there's actually a reason. The same thing with anxiety. When because I was taking Xanax to sleep for an anxiety, and there would be places I would have to go to certain family members' houses, and I would get anxious, and anxiety is built from events from the past. Okay. But what happens is when you give way to them, like me giving in to that, going to that particular person's house, feeling like I had to be anxious, that's from something that happened before, and I'm being triggered by having to go to that person's house, right? I'm being triggered. And so the more often that I go to that person's house and I give way to the fact that I'm going to be anxious every time I go to that person's house, I am strengthening that neuropathway of being anxious when I go to that person's house. And that is how it works. Isn't any more complex than that, in terms of the more we allow something to play out, the stronger it becomes. The more that we agree that we need a drink or take on the identity that you're an alcoholic, it drives me crazy. And I know it works for some people. Okay. But it's when you take on an identity, your subconscious mind will do everything that it has to live up to that identity. That's its job. So I remember going to an AA meeting, and this was before I became a real alcoholic. I was still in the baby stages, but I agreed to go to an AA meeting, and I think by about somewhere between 5 and 10 people getting up and saying, "Hi, my name is so-and-so and I'm an alcoholic," I got up and walked out. Why? Because I cannot sit here and say that I am an alcoholic and expect to stop drinking. I think that you're setting yourself up for failure. I don't know how many people that actually works for long term. I praise to God, whatever, however many people it has helped, maybe the support system and whatnot. But, my belief is that you are what you say you are. So if you take on an identity of a smoker, of an alcoholic, of a heroin addict, whatever it is, a food addict, then you are. That's just what you are. Your mind will do everything that it has to do to live up to that. I promise you. So, becoming aware. Why do you want to drink? What are you running from? Type of thing, right? You have to start paying attention, and you have to shut off the external noise. You got to shut off the external noise, and you got to stop looking to other people to solve your problems, because it's all right here. And as soon as you start holding yourself accountable, you will start freeing yourself from that addiction. I promise you. You must hold yourself accountable, and all the people around you have to hold themselves accountable. Okay? Because if they haven't helped you, if you're surrounded by people right now that have not helped you move into sobriety, then they may very well be part of the problem. I hate to say that, but it's true. Because it's hard being the person in the room with an alcoholic or a drug addict. I know it is hard. But you have to hold yourself accountable, and that's for every choice that you make. You have to start holding yourself accountable why you drink or why you smoke or why you do the things that you do, if you want to stop and find freedom. Because, oh my gosh, it's so much nicer to be free of addiction. It's crazy. All right. I quit several times. I had quit alcohol several times, actually. And my driving force was not that I wanted to stop drinking so much. My driving force was my vanity, because towards the end, probably the last 5 years, I would just blow up. I would just got so heavy, and it was disgusting, so I couldn't lose weight as long as I drank. Could not lose weight as long as I drank, even though I didn't eat a lot of food. So my calorie intake didn't seem like a whole lot, but what was happening was my liver was getting tired. So I couldn't get rid of fluids. I couldn't, I was just blowing up like a balloon. It was gross. So that was, a lot of my motivation. And I would quit maybe for a year, and I would go right back to drinking. Why? Because I didn't change my situation. I was still in the same situation. Victim, I don't have control over this. Feeling trapped, right? And all of that enabled me to stay, to go back to my alcohol. It wasn't until I got to the point where it was either I was going to get better or I wasn't going to be here anymore. That's how bad I was. I didn't want to be here anymore. I didn't know how to get out of it. So thank God saved me, actually. I praise God, because literally God stepped into my life through someone that he had sent to me probably 2 years prior to that, and that person just kept touching me. God just kept sending him. It was incredible. And I feel God saved my life through this gentleman, utilizing him as a vessel. It was such an incredible experience, and that's there for you too. You just have to, you got to step into the light as often as you can, right? So finally I quit. It's been over 5 years. I've never been happier. I'm so happy. I am out of that toxic relationship, but at the same time, again, I hold myself accountable for my participation in that relationship too, and that's freedom. When you start holding yourself accountable for your actions and your choices, it is freedom, people. Let me tell you something. It's freedom. Now I want to talk about a couple of family members, because it's really, really, this is where I really want to dig into addiction, because this happens a lot. So we're going to talk about a young lady that was in my family by marriage. I watched the whole thing unfold, and if you've ever listened to any of my talks, or you listened to parenting last week, I say that nobody gets the same parents, and your siblings, nobody gets the same parents. So this particular family, they had 2 girls, and the mother had a twin sister, and the twin sister had 2 children. And the twin sister, now I wasn't around enough to know all of the details of the twin sister, but basically the twin sister died of an overdose. And I'm going to say right here, I'm sure it was an accidental overdose. And I'll explain why in a minute. So here's this person, her twin sister has died. Now the children are divided up into, one goes to a brother's house, the other one goes to the sister's house, the twin sister's house. So that twin sister's daughter is now living in this house. So now this family has 3 children, 3 girls in the household. So about the time that the oldest girl was maybe 18, 19 years old, she's going to college. Then the next one is around 13, 14 years old. And any of you out there that are females, you know what that age is like Like, we really need guidance. And this young woman really needed a lot of guidance. And unfortunately, the mom, so first the mom lost her sister, right? But even worse than that, now another cousin had just lost her daughter. So that cousin was living now in the house with the husband and wife and the 3 daughters. And that cousin needed a lot of attention. Why? Because that cousin just lost her daughter. So I watched it unfold when I would go there for family events. The daughter was screaming for connection. What do I mean by that? She was talking badly to her mother, badly to her father. She was having these little mini mental breakdowns. And she just wasn't getting the attention and the love that she needed at that time in her life. It was very important. And she started unraveling. And then she started hanging out with a drug crowd. And I think in the beginning it started off with just marijuana, and then it escalated from there to where she finally, by the time she was in her 20s, maybe 19, 20, she started shooting up. So she started shooting up, and so she was going in and out of rehab facilities, just in and out all the time. And I know it's difficult for the family, so I'm not judging. There's no judgment here, all right? Only what I witnessed, and I shared this with you because anybody that this can help, that this can save, then it's worth sharing, right? So anyway, so in and out of rehabs, finally, over the course of time, and I had been talking to the mother, the daughter was going into rehab for 90 days. And in one of the conversations that I had with the mother, I said, one of the things that you need to do is you need to take her phone, destroy that phone with all the contacts in it, and get her a brand new phone, and the only contacts in that phone need to be your phone number, family. Don't let her have access to those old connections, because what is she gonna do? She's gonna call them. So the end of the 90 days comes along, and the dad goes and picks up the daughter from the rehab facility at like 7 a.m, because they release you in the morning from these rehab facilities. All to do with insurance, right? So, so they released her. Dad picks her up. Dad takes her home. Now this young lady's been gone for 3 months, people. 3 months. I would have hoped that anybody that's been gone for 3 months, especially your child, and comes home after 3 months, they should get some kind of welcome party so that you feel that you were missed. They brought this young lady home. The father brought the young lady home. Everybody else was gone. Dad went to work. The youngest daughter, which is the daughter of the mother that had the accidental overdose, she came home to find her cousin dead. And of course, everybody says, oh, it's an overdose. No, it's an accidental overdose. Why? Because when she went into rehab, she had one tolerance level that was very high because she was doing drugs all the time. And then she went into rehab for 90 days. And in 90 days, her body got cleaned out. And so she no longer had a tolerance level, and she came home and I'm sure did the same amount shot into her arm that she did before she went in. And this is how they have an overdose, because they don't have the tolerance anymore. And it's a very sad thing. But I want you to think about this for a minute, that this child came home after 90 days with nobody there. I mean, I would, this is just my personal opinion. And again, I'm not judging, because I'm not the one with the daughter, that was doing all these drugs and whatnot. I wasn't there, but my gosh, I know that regardless of what my daughter did, if she was gone for 90 days, all I would want to do when she came home was sit with her, cook her dinner, cook her breakfast, make her feel loved and welcome in my home, and welcome to be home and valued. And this child did not get that. So, I mean, it's just such a sad thing. It's such a sad thing. Like I said before, how did I quit? I quit. God did lift. He lifted that addiction from me. I had gotten baptized. I went to meet with this guy, and he prayed over me and gave me a book to read when I came home. And my entire life changed. But the thing of it is, I could not have stayed sober without healing what had been going on inside that I was running from. And at the time, of course, it was seemingly most likely to blame it on the loss of my son. But I came to realize in my healing that it ran deeper than that. It was from my childhood, and I didn't realize that until I did an RTT session, which is a regression into this lifetime, a regression not past lifetime, into this lifetime regression, asking questions of why I felt a particular way, because I was always running. No matter how successful I was always running, and I had no idea why. And so, before the social involvement of alcohol and stuff, with the singing and everything, I really didn't have any crutches other than smoking cigarettes. I didn't have any crutches that I would lean into when I was feeling sad or unhappy. I really didn't allow myself to stay in that state very long, which is not good, because I never dealt with what was going on. So awareness, you have to come to the awareness of what's driving your addiction, your need to escape. You have to get to that core, and hypnosis is just one way to get there. And I say to you, I don't care what tool hopefully if you think hypnosis can help you, I am more than happy to help you. But hypnosis is just one tool to assist you in any journey around sobriety. And you need to just find as many tools that resonate with you to get yourself there, because being sober is so much better. And for me, the only way I got there was I stopped listening to everybody else and I started listening to me, because that's who matters. This life is for you. Your lifetime is for you, okay? And then everybody else that is in your life is there as part of your life. But your lifetime, what you live, the path that you choose, is all about you. And when you sink into that and you realize that, and when I say you put yourself first, you can put yourself first and still be the best wife, the best employee, the best sister, brother, mother. When you put yourself first, that doesn't mean that you're going to neglect everybody. What it means is that you put yourself first because this is about you. You have to make your life about you, and to get the best version of you, you have to do whatever that is, because if you're not the best version of you, who are you really benefiting? Right? You're not benefiting your family if you're not the best version of you. You're not benefiting your employer if you're not the best version of you. And you're certainly not benefiting yourself if you're not the best version of you. So I say find your way to the best version of you any way that you can. And I promise you that will not be from the voice of others. That is going to be listening to your inner voice. Your inner voice. And, there's a lot of situations out there. I was in one for the longest time, my marriage, where, I didn't trust my inner voice. Why didn't I trust my inner voice? Because I had people in my life lying to me, literally. And when people lie to you, it makes you question your trust or your self-trust and, your inner voice. But you got to get to the point where you trust your inner voice. How do you do that? You start sitting with yourself without the external noise of others, because they're projecting on you what they think your life should look like. And you need to find that peace within yourself. And that my friend, that will be the beginning to your sobriety, because you must find yourself first, and you got to hold yourself accountable for all of your decisions. When you start holding yourself for your decisions, you realize how much control you truly do have. Even in the worst of situations, because I was in a horrible living situation the last 5 years that my ex and I were together. And it was very difficult moving forward in my journey while still living under the same roof. But it is possible. It is possible. Because no matter what, if I didn't take care of myself in that environment, then I would have never gotten out of it. I would have never ended it. So you have to do the hard work while you're still in it. It makes it harder, but it's worth it. It's worth it for sure. Now, whether your addiction began as a child or as an adult, the driving imprint was there waiting for the crutch, waiting to be used as a crutch, right? So again, I am Lisa Michaels. I'm a registered nurse. I'm a certified RTT hypnotist and studying neuroscience in depth. I love helping people. It is my true passion. Nothing makes me happier than seeing someone that I work with changing their future one day at a time, 1 minute at a time. So if there's ever anything that I can help you with, please reach out. And hopefully the content tonight has helped you, whether you're looking to help somebody else or whether you need assistance yourself. Oh, and one more thing I want to say to anybody that is dealing with someone that's an addict. If you truly love that person, you must drop all expectations of that person that you haven't discussed and that they haven't agreed upon. Now, if you sit down and the two of you hash out agreed expectations, great. That's healthy boundaries. But outside of that, what do I mean by that? You can't expect them to be anything when they are in an addiction mode. All you can do is support them, love them unconditionally, no judgment. No judgment. You cannot judge them. They cannot heal. They cannot find their way back if they are drowning in judgment. And I know it's a lot to ask if they're a difficult addict, but I promise you, when you relieve that pressure off of them, because addicts put a lot of pressure on themselves. It's horrible. It doesn't look that way, really doesn't, but it's all head pressure. It's all the internal chatter that's going on inside their head that's driving the bus, and they're not making good decisions because they're in such deep pain. And then on top of that, now they have this addiction. So I could go on and on and on forever, but if you know somebody that is dealing with addiction, or if you're dealing with addiction and there's anything I can do, you can reach out to me via Facebook. You can go to my website, lisamichaels.org, but please look for assistance, whether it's me or somebody else, and find your way to sobriety. It's a good thing. It's really, it's wonderful, not just to be sober. It's not just about getting rid of the addiction. It's the collective healing that you go through to get there. That's really the celebration, right? Because the addiction, whatever that may be, it's just the Band-Aid for the symptoms. It's just treating the symptoms, right? So when you heal what's really deep down inside, then those wounds will heal themselves and everything that goes along with it. So every week, 6 p.m., I do this Facebook Live talking about human behavior and how the brain works. I want to thank anybody and everybody that has listened to this all the way through. Thank you so much. It's very important work for me. Next week, I don't know what I'm talking about yet. I'll let you know. Next Monday, 6 p.m., it's all in your head. Lisa Michaels. Stay blessed.